gentlemen, podcasting since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Peña, the always opinionated Paris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
All right, welcome to Gamertag Radio, episode 1310. This is your host, Danny Peña, and joining me for this episode of GTR, we have Paris Lilly. What's up, Paris?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Good. Excited about our conversation for this episode. Very excited. Can't wait. And also, from the Throwdown Show, we have Tony Polanco. Also, he's a writer of Tom's Guide. What's up, Tony?
What's going on, Danny? What's going on, Paris? Very excited about this conversation, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you guys, man. And first thing first, I know we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2, but do you guys have 100% completed this or close to 100%? Let's start with Paris.
No, I'm 100% and platinum it.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
same.
You too?
Yeah, same. Yep, same for me. So 100% and platinum. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% yet, but I will be there very soon. Very soon.
Nice.
Yeah. So everybody, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 2. Very excited about this. First of all, thanks to PlayStation, not only inviting us to the event a couple months ago, but also giving us, advanced copies of the game. And I can't wait to talk to Tony and Paris about this. But first, Tony, how's everything? I know it's been a while since you joined the last time you joined the podcast. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a little bit. It's been a couple months, but no, I think it's been good. Very busy now since we're in the middle of what's called Techtober, right? Like, there's a lot of like tech events going on. Like, there was a big Microsoft one, there was an Apple one, there was a Google event. It was like it's been a lot of stuff. And the craziest thing that happened to me was during the Apple event, Tim Cook shouted me out live on stage. You know, I had my name up there on the stage and everything. And I came up before Marcus Brownlee, MKBHG, who's like the biggest tech tuber on earth. So I'm like, yo, my name came up before him. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy. Congrats on that. Do you have a video of that? You got to keep that. That video.
The video's up there. The video's up there. It's on apple.com, you know?
Nice.
It's crazy. But yeah, and I've been good. And then obviously playing some games. We're going to talk about Spider-Man, but the other big game I played and beat recently was Assassin's Creed Mirage. I really enjoyed that. It was back to basics, you know, Assassin's Creed, because the last three games got too big, too overbloated. This one is more like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. It's so good, man.
Nice. So, but remember, everybody, make sure to follow Tony on social media and also listen to the podcast, The Rollout Show. How many episodes you guys have already?
We have 456 for both, because we do 2 podcasts a week, right? And each one is a separate show. So we're about to do 456 of the questions podcast, and we already did 450 of the main show. So yeah, and we did episode 450 this year, which was our like 9th anniversary special. And that was the whole episode was just about Starfield. So that was a good episode.
Oh, the timing.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was like our episode went up like when the embargo lifted. So it was like, all right. So we brought our friend Richard Bailey Jr. from the Coalition on, who had played the game, and we just talked about the game for an hour and a half. So it was a really good way of celebrating 9 years of doing this show.
Nice. So everybody, make sure to follow Tony and the podcast, man. All right, so head over to gamertagradio.com, post your comments and feedback, listen to our past episodes. You also can find us on any podcast app. We're available there. Just look up Gamertag Radio. Follow us, subscribe, or post your review. If you would like to be part of our fan mail edition or fan mail episode, here's how you could contact us.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 2. You know, we're big fans of the game, big fan of Insomniac. You know, we played the first Spider-Man with Peter Parker. Then Miles Morales when it came out during the launch of PS5, but now we have Spider-Man 2, 100%. This is 100% just for the PS5, and I'm very curious to hear everybody's thoughts about this, about the game overall.
Well, you need to answer a question that you didn't answer before.
What's the question? I was going to say something else.
You asked us what we did in it. What did you do?
But first of all, clean your ears, because I did mention that I almost have 100%. I did mention that.
Okay,
yeah.
Almost isn't 100%. Okay.
Well, it's almost. Hey, look. I got a lot of things going on in my life. Okay, a lot of things going on. No, but honestly, I just want to say that first of all, once again, thank you so much to PlayStation for giving copies to the game ahead of time, and also. We're not gonna have spoilers on this one. I hope we could do a spoiler cast, Paris, in the future. In the future, we would like to do that, because there's a lot of theories, a lot of things that I would love to talk about with you guys. But this is just gonna be a review that is gonna focus more on the game, but not the story and everything like that. So, but let's start with Paris. I know we've been very vocal about Spider-Man 2. Your thoughts, and we'll go from there. We'll start a conversation with you.
I mean, I absolutely love Spider-Man 2, which goes to the point of why I was able to 100% and get the platinum, because I love the story. I love this world that Insomniac has created, now spanning 3 games. For context, I played this on amazing difficulty, which is, I guess, medium difficulty for all intents and purposes. But really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun with it. And it's interesting because now that we've had so much history with this version of a Spider-Man game going all the way back to 2018. Even with some of the new mechanics that have been added in, it felt very familiar to me jumping in. Yeah, they've changed up some of the controls. So now that, like, again, just as an example, Peter, when he's in the black suit, the symbiote, you basically have your symbiote powers along with you have your gadget powers as well, and the way that they're mapped out, and you're able to use them. So it's a little bit of a change from the previous games when it comes to that. Miles is very similar in that way too, because he, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but he acquires some new Venom powers as well, and then the gadget powers. I love that Miles and Peter have their own skill trees that you can use, and then they have a combined skill tree that you also can upgrade as well. There's a lot of different side stories that you can do along with the main story. And, I was kind of telling you and some other people, the way I approached it is I was doing all side and open world stuff. I was only touching the main story until I had to. And I was leveling up and gaining skills and doing all that. So then when I did have to focus on the main story, I almost felt like I was overpowered in a way, because I was ready to go. I had everything for both Miles and Peter jumping into that. But even with that, it was still a lot of fun. And here's a minor spoiler. This isn't a major spoiler. It's just a minor one, because we can't talk about this during this review. You will get a section where you get to play as Venom. So that does happen in the game. Tony Todd absolutely knocks it out of the park voicing Venom. I thought he was fantastic. You could feel the menace in Venom. I mean, obviously who becomes Venom and all that, you'll discover in the game, but Tony Todd, I almost said Tony Parker, but Tony Todd as Venom was fantastic. I love that this story that's been going on is just a culmination of what started in the 2018 Spider-Man. You now get the Miles Morales perspective of this, and his story that started in 2018 and obviously was fleshed out more in his own standalone game. It kind of, all of that comes together here in Spider-Man 3. And I thought it was really well done. There's definitely some emotional moments in there by the time you run credits. I just think overall, Miles is the heart of this story for me anyways. Miles is who I connected with the most. And it felt like he was the one that was truly needed in this story. When you bring in Mary Jane, you're bringing in Harry, obviously everything that's going on with Peter, the symbiote suit, Venom coming in. Miles, in my opinion, was kind of the glue that held everything together. One last thing, and I'll turn it over. The opening of this game might be my favorite opening to a video game ever. Seriously, I had the dumbest grin on my face the entire time during, let's just say, that first 20 minutes of the game. It was so well done. It was so much fun. Just absolutely loved it. I think Insomniac knocked it out of the park. But that's my opening shot as we dive into this.
You know what? I have to agree with you about that intro, because when we went to the event a couple months ago, we were the parts where we played the game was like a little bit later in the game, but at the same time, we were after the event. We were like, man, we still don't know anything about the game. Zero. We don't know who was going to be in the beginning. Like, is it something that's going to happen that's going to change the story or what? Like, it was big, huge mystery, man. But after playing the intro, I totally agree with you, Paris. It's one of the best intros I play in the game, I think, man. It's really, really good. Really, really good. And I agree with you that Miles, to me, is in my opinion, the character that connected the most. But at the same time, I feel like there was more story about Peter than Miles. But Miles is a very important character, I think, in the game. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Part? I mean, again, to be crystal clear, this is a Peter Parker story. Let's not get it wrong. This is why this is Spider-Man 2, not Miles Morales 2, right? But Miles gets to step up on the main stage here, and he plays, like you said, a very important part in this story. And he obviously has his own side story that, again, kind of melds into the main story of what Spider-Man 2 is. But no, this is a Peter Parker story. This is about Peter, about his journey from the things that started in the 2018 game and kind of culminates here in 2. But again, it's fantastic. It really is. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And how about you, Tony? And I know you also have 100% of this game. I know we've been talking about this for months. Overall, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I kind of got lucky because I got a review code, but I'm actually not the person reviewing it for our site. Sony hooked us up with 2 codes, so I just played it at my leisure, and I just really, everything Paris said, I pretty much agree with. Although I will say, for me, I connected more with Peter, but just because I've had that relationship with Peter my entire life, But Miles' story, I found it interesting how, like, even though what happened in his own game was important, it kind of felt like more of a sequel to what happened to him in the first game, But I'm not going to spoil anything, but I like the resolution to that. That was really well done, and I thought it was weaved in well. And I want to kind of take things a little bit the other way, because I want to talk about this game a little bit as a New Yorker. Like, I love how you have Manhattan. It's basically the same Manhattan from the first game, but it feels different, like the way they added more textures to it and different buildings and stuff. It just felt like a brand new thing. But then also for me, I'm from Queens, and I also now live in Long Island City. It was cool seeing that represented in there, even though it's not 100% one-to-one, it was kind of cool seeing like, oh, there's my train station. Oh, there's that building. Oh, there's the 7 train. There's the N train, like it was so dope seeing that stuff. And then you see some of Astoria, even though it's not like 100% like a story, that was kind of nice to seeing a different vibe of Queens that, or in New York in general that you don't get, man. But no, the game is great. I like you guys said, that intro is crazy. I'm not going to spoil nothing, but it's very reminiscent of another famous PlayStation game from like 10 years ago, where that had back then that had the craziest intro of all time. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, you get a hint of what's coming here. The story's great. I always feel that the Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and then this one, their stories are better than any of the Spider-Man movies, because those guys in the games, they feel like the characters that I read in the comic books, like the actors and stuff. They do a good job. I'm not gonna, crap on them, but they don't. There's always something off about them. But these characters, man, the voice acting, the way they're like presented in the game, it's just like those are the guys I remember from the books, man. And I just love the way the story just unfolds. Like the flow of it just feels like it was hard because I did the same thing you did, Paris, where like I didn't move the story forward until I completed whatever side missions were available. But I wanted to just keep going with the story, because like every single mission ends in a way where you're compelled to play the next, And speaking about the side stories, I really enjoyed them too, because not only did they flesh out the city of New York and some of the citizens you help out, but also like for each character, they had their own specific side stories, which kind of gave you more insight into them. There's this one really cool part or Miles Morales, I'm not going to say nothing. In Brooklyn, I'm like, this is cool. This is fun. It wasn't anything like world ending or anything, but it was just little stories. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. It says a lot about the character, you know, and then obviously you hear more about Peter, you know, his relationships and all that, and how things may progress moving forward. It's just skillfully done, man. And, you know, like you said, this is a PS5 only game, and it shows. Like, those graphics are absolutely ridiculous. Like, you know, they have photo mode from the jump in this game, so you can just dive in, just start taking photos of everything. Beautiful, beautiful game. This is a game right now, and it's kind of perfect because, like, PlayStation's about to get like a slim console. If you're gonna get that slim console, get this game. And if Sony was smart, they'll have like a bundle for that slim one, because this is a system seller for sure, man. But overall, I thought the game was fantastic. Or, excuse me, I thought the game was amazing.
Yeah. And I also want to mention this because I know people are probably going to say, oh, but this is the same game, the same thing. And honestly, playing this game feels a lot faster. And let me tell you, I don't know about you guys, but I've never used a fast travel on this. I was just enjoying going to places just on my own without using the fast travel. I probably did it once because I just wanted to experiment to see the difference and how fast to go from one location to the next. But honestly, 99% of the time, I was just doing things on my own without that feature. Do you guys use that fast travel at all? Paris?
I mean, I use it a few times towards the end, like, again, because I 100%ed the game. So once I had done all of the open world activities and I was just focused on the main story, then I was just skipping right, going to like a main story aspect of it. I will say, when we talk about, oh, is this just more of the same? Yeah, it is. But think about it. This is the third game in this series. So you're starting to see Insomniac get the lessons learned from the first game, get the lessons learned from Miles Morales. Now they only have the PS5 to focus on. So they've mastered Spider-Man traversing through this open world. You do get that sense of speed. Now that they've added the web wings in here now, having that sense of, you know, you hit those rings. So you're picking up speed going through. And as you get better with that, all the different tricks that Spider-Man can do as you're swinging through the open world. Now that they've added, and I'm screwing up the name, but now you have where you can deploy like your own web line when you're in certain scenarios, right? So it's adding more diversity into how you're attacking certain scenarios, right? You can have more stealth now. You know, it's just, there's extra layers to this, and I'm actually, and again, I don't want to spoil this, but I'm actually excited to play on a higher difficulty now that I've completed the game on Amazing, and see how the AI interacts with some of that. Which, again, I'll say the one thing: I think veterans of playing these Spider-Man games, I don't want to say it was easy. It's not easy playing on Amazing, but I knew what to do, if that makes sense, right? Where I knew how to attack certain things going in. I understood how to use, excuse me, the Spider-Man powers going in. And I'll say this, playing Symbiote Peter, I freaking loved it. That was probably my favorite new powers to have, were the symbiote powers, because just the brutality of it as you're playing as Peter doing that was just so much fun. But again, even Miles's new Venom powers were a lot of fun. Being able to pull off the different combos and things, it was just fun as hell to play. It was fun as hell going into different scenarios and figuring out a new way to approach it, right? Like, okay, I may have done it this way this time, but let me try it this way from a different stealth. It was fantastic. And one more thing, because we completely forgot to mention him at the top. I love Kraven. I love the new Hunters, Kraven's crew that's in there. I love their new attacks, the parry modes. Like, it was funny playing during the preview. I wasn't very good at it, but playing through this, I understood how to attack and approach it. And I love being able to parry and counter some of those heavy attacks that you'll see. It was great. Fantastic. Again, these are the things that are being added into it. So it's not just the same. Oh, this is not just 2018 Spider-Man again. No, it's an evolution of what 2018 Spider-Man was. And now you're having these new attacks and these new modes that are coming into that just enhances the experience even more.
Yeah, I want to jump on that real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
because it's a good point. It's like if you've played the previous games, it's obviously going to be familiar and stuff. Because like the thing is, when I'm testing like a new PC or whatever, I always reference the original game. So going back to this, it feels the same. But like you said, Paris, those new moves, they feel natural within what you already have, which is your regular repertoire. So it's very easy to just blend them in and incorporate them into your combos. And I will say in this game, you kind of are incentivized to use the moves more, because if you just go in there and just punch it, regular punching and stuff, you're not going to really last long. You need to use those skills. You need to use the parrying, but you're going to just naturally do it. Like the parrying, you're right. At first it felt a little unnatural, but then once you get it, it comes out like nothing, man. So yes, obviously it's going to be very familiar in some respects, because you're not going to overhaul the complete engine or whatever. You don't do that with any franchise, but yeah, it feels familiar, but different at the same time. And I agree with you 100% with those Venom powers, Peter Parker Venom powers. Wow. They're so brutal, man. Like once I got them, like I'm not switching back, because you can switch back to like your spider arm powers, which are mechanical arms behind your back and stuff. Those are still available from the previous game, but wow, they did such a good job with the combat in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also I want to mention, and I want to ask you this question because I personally think it is, but do you think this is Insomniac's best game so far of all the games that they worked on? I personally think so, for me, and I know that I've been saying this for a very long time about Sunset Overdrive, how that game helped change all the games that came after that was developed by the studio. And there was also a moment where it reminded me of Wrench and Click. I'm not going to say anything what it is exactly, but like only a studio like that could achieve that type of style in the game. And that, of course, you only could do it on the PS5 with this. But do you, for you guys, your opinion, and let's start with Paris, do you think this is Insomniac's best game that they worked on so far?
Well, like I was saying before, this just feels like a culmination of a lot of lessons learned. And like you said, you're taking all the way back to Sunset Overdrive, and you think about the Ratchet and Clank games that we've seen over the past few years. And obviously these two different iterations of Spider-Man games leading up to this feels like putting just big pot, and they've just put all the ingredients in here, and boom, this is what you get with Spider-Man 2. You know what I mean? Like you said, the reference that you put to Ratchet and Clank, that's in there. Sunset Overdrive is in there. The first Spider-Man is in there. Obviously, the lessons learned that they had from Miles Morales is in there. And you just put all of this in there together, and this is what you get. And like I said, it feels familiar. It plays familiar. But then there's added gameplay elements in here that just enhances it even more. So, yeah, I think to date, this is Insomniac's best game that they've ever made.
What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I'm going to have to 100% agree. For the same reasons you said, this is pretty much a culmination of everything the studio has done, right? You get the enhanced traversal of Sunset Overdrive. From Ratchet and Clank, you not only get the crazy amount of weapons, but, the portal stuff, I'll just say that. You get that in this game. With Miles Morales, I think the lesson learned from that game was the streamlined because remember, the first Spider-Man game, I thought that was great, don't get me wrong, but I felt the side quests were too random. But in Miles Morales, they were more focused and direct. They're more focused and direct in this one. And then obviously everything they've learned from the graphics, the loading in this game. I will say this, though. You guys will not see any subway scenes in this game because the fast travel is just too fast. Like the instant you do fast travel, you're right there in the borough, and the way they do it is seamless. So yeah, you could tell these are masters at work. Insomniac has been doing their thing for PlayStation for decades now. They know what they're doing, when it comes to, so it's everything. You get the awesome story, the characters, the gameplay, the world, the technology. I will say this, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Insomniac, this generation, is the MVP of PlayStation. They are really carrying this console. It's incredible what they've done, man. And I think this is a game that everybody needs to play. If you own a PlayStation, you need to be playing this because this is like top tier. Like what I look for in a AAA game, this has it. Like it's just masterful. That's all I can say about it. It's a masterful game.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing again. Like when we talk, like from a technical standpoint, I played in performance mode. I checked out fidelity mode, which is 30 frames, the ray tracing, all that 4K. But I put it in performance mode, which is going to scale your resolution, but it's at 60 frames. And, they talked about, they scale down the NPC population and open world stuff like that. I didn't notice it. It was great. Playing at 60 frames is how you definitely should be playing this, especially if you want to feel that sense of speed as you're traversing through the open world. Again, this is where Insomniac, even from a technical standpoint, you can see the lessons learned as the more familiar they've gotten with the PS5. We've seen in the past how they've gone back and updated Ratchet and Clank and added performance modes and 40 frames per second modes. They did that with Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered, again, as examples, to now here we go with Spider-Man 2. This performance mode just feels good and visually looks good. That, in my opinion, that is the preferred way that you're going to want to play it on PS5. I wouldn't even mess around with 30 frames on it. For what? It looks just as good in the performance mode at 60 frames. So you might as well do that as well. And we know they're probably going to go back and update and add a 40 frames per second mode, all that stuff. So yeah, from a technical standpoint, from a story standpoint, visuals, everything, Insomniac is just at the top of their game right now, utilizing the PlayStation 5. Absolutely. Again, that SSD, being able to have the instant fast travel, things like that. It all just works. It really does. Fantastic job that Insomniac was able to do.
Yeah. Can I say something on that? Because there actually is a third option mode, which is the one I use. If you're hooked up to a monitor or a TV that has 120 hertz a second with the HDMI 2.1, you actually utilize that. So basically you get 1440p resolution with ray tracing and at 40 frames a second. That's how I played it, because it gave me the best of both worlds, because I was playing at 30 frames. I love the gorgeous visuals, but I'm like, 30 frames can't do it for me. Then I went to 60 frames, the performance mode. I'm like, I'm missing the ray tracing here. But then I saw, oh wait, there's another option, so I picked that. It's 40 frames a second, very smooth, gorgeous ray tracing. Like, I know some people don't like ray tracing. I personally love it. So like when you're swinging through like Times Square and you just see all the buildings reflected and stuff. And Paris, the cool thing is it doesn't mess with the density of the crowds. They're still very, very dense, So for me personally, that's the mode I would pick. But I kind of agree with you. I think Insomniac, because they've done it before, they will find a way to get 60 frames with ray tracing going, because these guys are just wizards.
Yeah, and now I have a quick question for you guys. What I know we did a lot of the side quests. Was any of the side quests that you thought it was really cool, like your favorites? Any favorites for you?
I don't want to spoil it for people. I don't, because if I say what it is, then I don't want to spoil it. There's definitely one with a villain that, from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, that you will do a bunch of open world activities with, that by the end of it, I really enjoyed. I really liked how that culminated and what that means for the future. Of Spider-Man, you know what I mean? So again, I don't want to spoil nothing, but that would probably be my favorite one.
Yeah. For me,
go ahead.
For me, there was there was one for me, and again, this is I'm not going to mention the spoiler, but there's is one it has to do with the museum. I'm not going to say much about that. I'm just going to be like that. But the reason why I mentioned that is because it reminded me of Miles Morales. Like, here's the thing with Miles, it reminds me a lot about being Latino in Spanish Harlem, right? Or in New York City overall. It also shows you a lot about the Black and Latino culture, right? In the first Miles Morales game. And there is multiple moments in the game from the side quest and also from the main quest where you will see that type of moment where it's going to remind you of and also learn about Black and Latino culture. I was just going to keep it like that, but just remember the museum side quest. Highly recommended for you guys to play that. Great side quest to check out. And what about you, Tony?
Yeah. Again, no spoilers. And Paris, you may have played this since you got 100%. All I'm going to say is it's a short side quest. It involves pigeons, and that's all I'm going to say. Very heartfelt.
I know what you're talking about.
But this is what I'm saying. There's a few emotional moments in this game. That is one of them. And I was joking with the kind of funny guys, while we were playing through, and one of them deals with Papa, Grandpa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think I think we just showed right now. We just talked about 3 different side missions, and they're all so different from each other. You know, that's how great this game is. And like, yeah, Danny, the one you mentioned, I really enjoyed that one, like, especially the end and stuff, the way it culminated, because you learn a lot. But think about it, there's so many different types of side missions. You get ones that are more action based. There are more ones that are like based about the character. Then there's ones that are just about New Yorkers. You know, and again, Insomniac does such a good job with this stuff. Like you shouldn't skip any side quest because you will always get something out of it.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the first thing I did, and I did the same exact thing when we got to play the game at the preview event, is I was like, all right, let me go to Spanish Harlem to see how different it is, because I remember the location from the first game, right? And plus, I used to live around that area, so I was like, oh, let me just check it out. And I noticed that they did change some of the stores. Like, for example, Tony, there's one store in the original Miles Morales game where and it's close to like the bodega. I mean, there's multiple bodegas here, but there was like a Dominican restaurant, I think it was, or something like that. It was there. You see the Dominican flag and everything like that, right? So I went to that same location, the same store, and it's not there in this game at all. But they added other stuff that wasn't available. So like I found a Cuban spot in there. I don't know if you did that or not, Tony.
Yeah.
In this one, but yeah, they made some minor changes of like the stores and bodegas and stuff like that. But also I wanted to mention, ask you guys, favorite suit, because there was a lot of unlockables in this one, man. I know some of them are spoilers, but the ones that you're allowed to talk about, was there anything that stood out to you from either Peter or Miles?
Easy. Oh, I mean, it's easy for me. And again, I don't want to. There's a couple that are spoilers, so I won't say. But of what we can talk about, for Peter, it's a symbiote suit, easily for me. Mm-hmm. And then from Miles, believe it or not, it was just kind of going back to the first game. When you unlock the cat suit, where he has a cat in the backpack.
Oh my God. You know what? That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that was probably the one I rocked the most out of everything. And now with the suits, I love that there's another variant of the suits where you can unlock different shades and colors of those suits as well. You couldn't do that in the previous game. And, you got to pick up tech parts and things in the open world to be able to have the currency to do that, which again incentivizes you to go out in the open world and do more things. So I would say that. And Tony, before you say yours, I want to say this real quick, because I literally have the game up right now because we're talking about the graphics modes and everything. So I do want to correct myself. There is a 40 frames per second mode in the game now, unless this was a day one patch and I missed it. But there is one in there now if you're on the 120 hertz display mode. So if you do play in fidelity and have a 120 hertz display, you can play at 40 frames that way. I'm also looking at with VRR, there is an uncapped mode in here. So it will lower resolutions, but it'll target higher and more variable frame rates as well. So again, this is Insomniac in their bag doing their thing. If you have 120 hertz television, you're going to be able to play with ray tracing, 40 frames if you want in fidelity, or you can go to performance. You can play uncapped at higher frames at lower resolutions as well. So again, they're just doing their thing. They really are. So just want to make that quick correction.
Yeah. Tony?
Yeah, favorite suits. Yeah, with Peter, obviously it was a symbiote suit. It was dope. And for Miles, the one he gets at the very end, that's what I'm going to say. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. It feels like that character,
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like that one.
I liked it, man. It was kind of silly.
I think it was cool. I think it's cool. I think that one's not bad.
And if I have a critique, they make you play in that suit in cutscenes towards the end, and I didn't like that. That'd probably be a critique that I have.
Yeah. I like the cat suit, Paris. I agree with you. Plus, let me tell you, there's some moments that having that suit, it makes it so funny. Like the cat, because the cat moves a lot, so it's always doing certain things. So during the game, you might see some cutscenes that you're still wearing the suit, and the cat's doing the same exact thing, but it looks so funny where it feels like he's trying to hide or whatever. Like, you got to see it. You got to see it. But it's really, really cool. Really, really cool. And actually, there was another suit where, oh my God, I don't want to mention no spoiler, but it's something. Well, okay, this suit, I was very hyped to unlock it when you finish the museum side quest. I finished it tried out the suit, didn't like it. I don't know if you guys felt the same or not, but I wasn't feeling that suit at all. I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to spoil it, but that one I think was the one that I least like from out of all the ones that I unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. You know, we're obviously trying to tiptoe through spoilers, but best believe when you're in that main story playing and doing your thing, you're going to love the moment to moment action. Now, if I have another critique, it would be, and this has been a complaint since 2018 Spider-Man, the open world crime activities do get repetitive. That for sure. Yeah. I just think there's no way around that. You can only diversify those so much. But other than that, I mean, like I said, the moment to moment action was good. The story that they are telling with Peter, Miles, Harry, Craven, Norman Osborn, Mary Jane on down the line. Great. By the way, one other social media thing that I've seen as we've been leading up to this, we obviously know there were people that were purposely trying to spoil this story leading up to this review. But the other thing is Mary Jane. And they've obviously changed some of the character designs in that. Honestly, I didn't care. It didn't bother me one bit while I was playing the game. So for people that are concerned about how Mary Jane might look or Peter or Miles's new haircut or whatever, trust me, once you start playing, look, once you get into that first 20 minutes of the opening, you're not going to care at all.
Yep.
You're just seriously not going to care. Agree. It's fine.
Yeah.
My thing with Mary Jane is like, she looks more like she does in the comics now. What are you complaining about? Like, remember in the first game, she had like a ponytail. Now she has like her long red hair, her signature long red hair. I'm like, she looks like she does in the comics. What are you guys complaining about? But again, I'm not going to derail the conversation, but this is what happens with every single exclusive for any platform. There's always some dumb controversy. I'll say this right now for you guys. Yes, there are puddles in the game and they look glorious.
Exactly. Yeah, dope. Yeah, I mean, there's people just want to complain just to complain. That's what it is, man. But I've been enjoying this game so much, man. I think it's one of my favorites this year too. Up there, contender game of the year too. For me personally, I know for different people might have different opinions about that, but for you guys, do you think this is also a contender game of the year? Paris?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I snarkily put my tweet out when I listed game of the year and I said, subject to change. I mean, this should be in the conversation because, yes, it is the third iteration of this, but it is so well done. And for a quote unquote superhero comic book video game, it's arguably the best one ever made, first and foremost, but it is absolutely just the best of this open world type genre that we've seen this year in 2023. 100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Tony?
I mean, here's the thing. I kind of knew this was going to be my game of the year before it even came out because I'm like, all right, it's Spider-Man, it's Insomniac. I love the first two games. This is already a shoo-in. So when I played this, I was like you guys said, when you play that intro, you're like, okay, that's it, game of the year. and it just gets better. The game, again, I love the way it just ramps up. And the stuff you see at the end of the game, like, it is crazy, you know? But when it comes to everything else, again, the story, man, it is so well done, so heartfelt, and the side missions are good. The graphics, like, this is the full package, man. So for me, for PlayStation, for sure, the best game released this generation, and yeah, my game of the year for sure.
Definitely. And look, this is not a spoiler, but if you love Marvel movies and especially Spider-Man, there's 2 post-credit scenes that you need to sit back and just enjoy the show. Just watch it, and do research after, because a lot of people were asking questions about it too.
Now,
so yeah, I'll leave it like that.
I kind of want to say something. It's okay. Let me say this. Let me say this. If you are just a fan of all the Sony Spider-Man stuff that we've seen over the past couple decades, there is an Easter egg that needs to be earned to see. And if you see it, it will feel very well deserved. I'll just say that. That's not spoiling nothing. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Tony, you were going to say something too? Or not?
Yeah, no, I was just going to tell Paris not to spoil anything.
Good. Yeah, everybody, just make sure to try this game out. It's so good. I also, one thing we forgot to mention, like, yeah, you can switch when you're in the open world. You can switch from Miles to Peter back and forth if you want, and in the story, it changes automatically depending on where you're at in the game. So for me, I had a great time. This is, again, contender of the game of the year for me. It's so good. Highly recommend it. If you have a PlayStation 5, you definitely need to check this game out. Like, this is a must-have for PlayStation 5 owners for sure, man. For me, Paris, what about you, man, overall? So we can wrap this up.
I mean, this is probably my favorite PS5 game that's come out so far in the 3 years. It is well worth your time. Like we've already said, this is most likely a game of the year contender. It's Spider-Man. If you love Spider-Man, it's a no-brainer if you have played the first two. It is a no-brainer. You will want to go play this. You will want to enjoy it and have a good time with it. And if you've never played any Spider-Man games, and this is your first entry into it, you're in for one hell of a ride. And by the way, we did not bring him up. Shout out to Doc Kirk Connors as a Lizard.
Yes.
I love that arc as well. And we've obviously seen a lot of that during the previews, but it's fantastic as well. Again, Kraven, Lizard. There are some other rogue gallery villains that you will see in here. Some other familiar faces and characters. I just love this Insomniac Spider-Man world that they've created. And I can't wait for more.
Oof. Amazing. Tony.
Yeah, I mean, you guys just said it, man. This is the game to get. This is awesome. If you're a fan of video games in general, you got to get it. But absolutely. It's like this is like this is a love letter to video games. Like, if you love video games, this has everything in it. But yeah, again, if you're a fan of Spider-Man, if you like the previous games, if you just like engaging stories, if you like to see a studio at its best mastering a video system, like, this is it, man. Like, this game is so good. And like Paris said, there's so many things we haven't even touched on, but you guys will see it for yourselves when you play it.
I'll put it this way, and maybe people might have different opinions about it, but I think this is way better than even the last Spider-Man movie, story-wise. I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, it's better than any of those movies.
Let's be crystal clear on something. Insomniac is telling the best Spider-Man story right now.
Yes,
hands down.
Yes, 100%.
Hands down.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, everyone. So that's about it. We're gonna wrap it up here. Tony, once again, thank you so much. Look, Tony joins us when it's like those special moments, because I just love us talking about games with him, and this is one of those special moments. Spider-Man, we've been waiting for this Spider-Man 2 for a while, and we're like, you know what, Tony, I think you should join us and talk about it. So Tony, thank you so much for joining GTR, man.
Yeah, and thank you for having me on. This was a great conversation as always, and you're right. This is a special occasion because this is one of the best, it is the best PS5 game. So like, I'm glad to be on here to talk about it, and I'm really looking forward to hearing, what people have to say about it. Like, genuine people, not stupid trolls on Twitter. Like, I really think this was going to be a fan favorite. And like you guys said, it needs to be up for discussion for Game of the Year overall, because it is special, man. It's great.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those games that people are going to be talking about for years to come. People are going to be talking about this nonstop, man. And honestly, look, I'm going to mention 3 of my top games so far for PlayStation 5. This is one of them. Returnal is one, and also Ratchet & Clank. Those are the top, my all favorite games for this generation, PlayStation 5. So, great job to Insomniac. Can't wait to see what's next for them. Woo! Can't wait. After finishing that game, woo, so many questions. Paris, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, go play Spider-Man 2. I'm playing it right now as I talk to you.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here. Everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Gamertag Radio. We'll be back next time here. And in Paris, very soon, in a couple weeks, we're going to be talking about Game of the Year. Oh, that's going to be a tough one this year, man. Very tough.
Spoiler, this will be on the list.
Yeah, it will. All right, everyone. So until next time, we're out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.